Hey guys, I've just been live on my business page, so I thought I'd continue into the group and invite you into the studio. Well, loads of people like me inviting them into the studios. I've just felt a bit like Bob Ross on the business page there. And let me explain what I'm doing for those of you that didn't watch it on the business page, because you might think I'm mad because I've just been painting over this, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. And I want to align it to a metaphor about life. This week, we all have reluctance to change of any sort in our lives. We will avoid it at all costs. It's human nature. None of us, it feels uncomfortable and icky, doesn't it, to be changing stuff, especially big stuff. So my daughter was in having a look at the painting earlier on in the week, and she said, I really like what you've done with the dark side of the painting, Mum. It's really coming on. I love the brush strokes. She says, and she understands the concept, okay? So the concept of this painting, this is my painting about domestic violence, and I've been working with victims of domestic violence. And the image that they gave me was that there was a door, and beyond the door was a happy life, and they were inside the door where it wasn't as a happy life. And there was a key to the door, but they couldn't quite reach the key to open the door to the better life. That was the concept of this painting, which is great. So we've got the key here, yeah, with hope on it. Hope is the key, is the name of the painting. And I've angled the camera so you can see better this week. So hope is the key, is the name of the painting. But my daughter came in and she was standing, and she went, I was standing with my cup of tea, and she went, as much as I love the painting and the concept and I think the dark side's fantastic, Mum, why would the woman be reaching for a key to a door that's already open? And I was like, shit, she's right. That kind of doesn't work as a concept. I need to close the door. But I also knew that closing the door meant painting it all out and starting again, which is quite a big job. Don't underestimate how big a job that is. It's huge. So I went live on my business page about 10 minutes ago where I started doing that, and I've started blocking it out. So I'm following that on here with my cup of tea. And it's like in life, isn't it? Where change pops up, something big comes up. It feels icky and uncomfortable because none of us like change. There's nothing worse, than putting heart and soul into something and somebody coming along and saying, but that's not right. You haven't done that well, or that looks ridiculous, or what do you think you're doing? Are you mad? Yeah, how annoying is that? But you know what? All you need is a layer of paint to reinvent yourself and to reinvent anything that stands before you. So that's kind of why I wanted to invite you into the studio. See, I'm Bob Ross now, aren't I? Painting and talking. Hi Susan. Hi. I'm going to add some happy little trees and happy little clouds soon. Honestly, talking whilst painting is so Bob Ross, but that's what I'm doing. So what I did this week was I listened to somebody's feedback. I listened to somebody else's perspective on something that, I was doing. And that was lesson 1. Listening to others can give you so much knowledge and expand you as a person if you are willing to listen. How often have you listened to somebody say something and gone, yeah, dismissed it as a load of rubbish, ignored it, and just moved on with your life, and nothing's ever got any better? So I kind of looked at the painting and I listened to, I nearly dipped my brush in my tea there, guys. This is the real life of an artist. So what I did was I listened to what had been said from a 20-year-old's perspective of the painting that I was doing. Why would she be reaching for the key if the door was already open? Good question. Good point. So I decided to close the door. But closing the door means taking out hours and hours of work that's already there and starting again. But sometimes when we start again and we welcome change and we listen to others, it can be better than what we already had. And isn't that a risk worth taking? What's the worst that can happen? I have to go back and paint it as it was if it looks ridiculous. That's the worst that can happen. Hi Tracy, just waving. So I listened, and today I'm taking the drastic action of blocking out these areas, trying to cover up what's already there, and then I'll consider whether I want to paint the same thing or whether I want to paint something different. Make it better, make it different, not change the concept, but change the look of it. That's okay. And you know what else is okay? It's okay to listen and make change happen and get it wrong. Because it's only a coat of paint, hi Natasha. It's only a coat of paint away from being better than it was. It's only a coat of paint away from being perfect. Just like your life, just like everything you do. Anything can be changed. What holds us back is fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of ourselves, our limiting beliefs that hold us back. Do you know how hard it is for me as an artist to just be painting over something that's taking hours of work? It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And that's kind of why I wanted to invite you in the studio today, to see that, you know what, sometimes from change, good things happen. Perspective changes, which I've had to do. I've had to change the perspective of this door completely. And the wall. So I've had to paint into the wall. Don't know how that'll look actually until I've got it blocked in. I don't know whether it's going to look right, whether I need to change it even further. But do you know what? You don't know until you start. So let's go for it. Because everything on that door is in the wrong perspective now to where it was, so it's got to start again. You're so right, Natasha, there. Amazing things happen outside of your comfort zone. Never be scared. Never ever be scared of slapping on that top coat of paint. Yeah, that can change everything. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this painting now, because over the next 2 days I'm going to be changing the perspective, potentially changing the style. And you know this painting intimately, Natasha, because you've been here while I've been slapping paint on it before. And that's going to take at least 2 coats of paint to cover up the work that was already there. That's why I'm doing it quite roughly at the minute. Slapping it on like my happy little clouds, just like Bob Ross. Happy little clouds. Except Bob used to paint in oils. And I painted acrylics. They dry a lot quicker, but they're a lot more unforgiving than oil paints. With oil paints you've got weeks to change things. With acrylics you've got literally minutes. So that's completely changed the balance and the perspective of that painting so far, but that's not a problem. That gives me an opportunity to rethink and stand back and have a look and say, what is it I wanted to achieve? What brush strokes do I need? What steps do I need in order to achieve what it was I wanted to achieve? I know I have the talent, I know I have the patience, I know I have the skills. It's a matter of just taking the first step, isn't it? First step taken. I have just blocked all of that work out in a few minutes. It didn't scare me. I'm not dead. I'm still here. Still here with a brush in my hand, slapping on paint, making change. Change feels good sometimes. It feels good to be using up my paint to fill in all these areas. Not saying this is the colour this is going to stay, guys. This could end up any colour. It could end up absolutely any colour, because I haven't decided. I've literally used these as base sketch colours. So I never know what colours are going to be prevalent in my paintings. I just use a base and goes from there. What I do know is that this dark side of the painting is what's holding this woman back, and she's trying to get towards the light. So this side needs to feel completely different to the other side. Okay, so that's the concept of the painting, which is why I'm using yellows and lilacs over here, and it was black over there, but I wanted to bring the peacock blues and the purples together somewhere in the middle. I know the deep colour's gorgeous, isn't it, Natasha? There's some peacock, all the colours actually that for Tuesday are in there. We've got purple, peacock blue, violets, all sorts of colours on that dark side. If you could see it close up, and you can't, you know you can't ever get a real look into a painting until you're standing in front of it. The brush strokes and the colours that are mixed together and how they're mixed together are actually really, really lovely, even though I say so myself. So we'll see what we can create on this side. But as you can see, I think the main thing is just not to be scared, just to go for it and see what happens. Slap the colour on. You see, I'm not even changing my brush when I'm not even changing my brush when I'm dipping it into new colours here, because I never know what's going to happen when I just put the colours on. And actually, sometimes really amazing things happen when you just use the same brush, hi Beverly, for different colour palettes. You can get an effect that you can't get doing anything else. For those of you that are artists or creatives, you'll know what it's like. You'll know, Natasha, that experimentation brings you different results. Sometimes it's crap, sometimes it looks crap, and sometimes you go, wow, that looks really good. Some of the best things in our world today have been created by accident, but they were created because someone was prepared to give it a go and just go out there and do it. So you can still see through there what the old perspective of the door, you can still see where the flowers were and everything. That'll take about another, yep, thanks Natasha. I know you were on the same wavelength as me, completely. Always got the big cup of tea with me. You know how many times I stick my paintbrush in here, guys? Nearly did it before there. I do it so many times. I'll tell you a story. I was coming up the other day with my cup of tea and my plate of toast to work whilst having breakfast. Tripped over the mat downstairs, threw the toast in the air, and a slice of it landed in my tea. The plate fell on the floor, smashed into a million pieces, and I just stood there with this cup of tea with a piece of toast in it. Broken crockery, and all the other pieces of toast landed marmalade side down on the floor. That's sod's law, isn't it? Dan was laughing at me so hard in the kitchen, and all I could do was just shrug. Let's go and dip the tea in the sink and pull out the soggy bit of toast, clean it up and get on with it. And then I had a shower before my next attempt at tea. That's the real life in this house. And you know my flaws, Natasha. That Italian tile downstairs is unforgiving when you drop crockery. So I love, honest to God, do you know what's really nice? It wasn't one of my nice big mugs or one of my very expensive plates, Natasha. It's one of the old ones, because I know better than allowing myself to take crockery anywhere because I'm so clumsy. I know my clumsiness, it is one of my weaknesses. I think knowing your skills and your weaknesses is always a good thing. So what I wouldn't do, so here's a thing for you. I've invited you into my studio to see change happen on this. What I would never do is invite you in when I was doing detailed work, because all you would see for hours on end would be the back of my head and my inability to speak because I'm so in the zone. Where I'm making big change like this, it's a completely different thing altogether, because this is just about laying foundations Wow, isn't that another analogy to life? When you make big changes in life, you don't do it all at once, do you? You never do it all at once. You do it a little bit at a time. And you lay foundations, put a layer of paint on, see what it looks like, stand back, admire your work, then do the next thing. So this is why creativity is so therapeutic and so relatable to life. Do you think that picture's transformed already, Natasha? It's completely changed it, as it always does. It completely changes it when you make big change. Well done, Becca, my daughter, for calling me out, for having the confidence to come into my studio and call me out on something that she thought didn't look right. How amazing is that? And what a good relationship I have with her, an environment that I've created that she thinks that she's comfortable to be able to do that. Because how many of us get really antsy when our kids tell us something? Honestly, stick your hand up. How many of us get really, really antsy if our kids say, that looks shit, or why are you doing that? It's really, really easy to get your hackles up and be defensive when somebody says something about your work. It's the same in life. If somebody says something in life, often we're that bothered with getting our hackles up and getting antsy with it that we don't listen to the message. And the message can be the most important message we've ever heard that could help us so much. But we're so caught up in ourselves that we don't listen. So I'm grateful for Becca this week. I'm grateful that she had the confidence to come into my studio and say, why? Yeah, feedback is a gift, isn't it, Natasha? I'm just going to my box of many colours here, because look, I've used all the paint already. So I need some more white while that's drying. So yeah, I do some of my best life thinking and some of my best life analogies when I'm in the zone of painting, because you can't overanalyze. There we go, loads of white. You can't overanalyze shit. Shit's a technical term, by the way. You can't overanalyze stuff when you're caught in the moment and when you are relating what you're doing to life or something else. So my initial concept on this was that I was going to paint Boo's door here, Boo from Monsters Inc., because it's innocent, and I might have changed my mind now. Samantha, you've just stuck your hand up. Is that you too? You get that? Sorry, but I don't want my tea to go cold. Much as I love you all, I need to drink my tea while it's hot in my big cup. So I may well have changed my mind on the door now. I don't know, because when it's white and there's nothing on it, I may see something differently. And do you know what I might do? Because Becca has been so instrumental in me making this change. I might ask her what she wants to see here and what she thinks would work, because she's also creative. Both my children are creative. And I really respect their opinions and what they've got to say. This is like when you're painting your house, you know, and you've painted your room red and you decide you want it white. How many coats of paint, how many coats of emulsion are you going to have to put onto that? Well, the pink and the blue flowers on here are going to take some covering up. So this will be a job of 3 or 4 attempts, methinks, because it's not oil paint, it's acrylic, so I can't scrape it off. It hasn't sat there still wet for weeks on end. It's dried and it's embedded into the canvas. Just think though, one day, in 200 years' time, when they're analysing me as one of the greatest artists of all time, and they're looking at my work through a microscope and they see that this had flowers in the door and it was a completely different position, they'll try and analyse why it happened and they'll have no clue unless they watch social media from like 100 years ago. See, those are the things that pop into my head while I'm painting. If you didn't think I was weird before, you definitely will now. Goodbye flowers, go away. Happy little clouds. Bob Ross. Oh, see, I love that. When you add water to your brush and you're painting, you get a little trickle of the previous colour just comes through. Which is what you want. See, when you're painting and you get that little colour trickle through, it changes things. Like exposure on a camera, isn't it, Natasha? When you change the exposure, it changes everything. Gives you a whole new perspective or a new idea of how you can make that image look or work for you with what you're already doing. Now, so those of you that are watching, I want you to imagine yourself on a retreat in the Scottish borders, surrounded by autumnal colours of deep purples and moss greens and burnt umbers, and a little salmon stream running by the side of the venue. And the venue is an old converted church or an old converted castle. And you're there for a 4 or 5 day retreat, and you're going to be painting and from the soul and meditating. That's where I'm going, guys. That's on my vision board, because bringing somebody along to actually physically do this in real life, to have no fear and to just go for what's in their head and paint it and change it and have confidence to do that, goes into life. For those of you that know me, this might give you an insight into why I am like I am, why I'm fearless, why I'll do anything, why I'm not frightened of change. That's an amazing gift to have. It's also an amazing gift to be able to pass on to others. So that's the plans. My Scottish retreat, however which way I get that, it's coming. It's on the vision boards. I repeat mantras about it daily. Talk about it all the time, just like I did with the house last year when I manifested our dream home. Talked about it all the time. Went and visited the show house like 500 times. Had a mood board for every room, so I knew exactly the colour schemes that I was going to use. I knew exactly what the room would look like. I knew exactly every minuscule centimetre of this dream home and how it would look before I moved into it. Do you know why? That's manifestation. I'm going to be talking about that all week next week. So I'm doing the same now with my Scottish retreat. I know that I will be, so here's what it feels like to be there. I wake up and I look out of the big bay windows with the old sash windows in them, pushing back the brocade curtains. And I walk down the curved staircase that takes me to the old battlement door. And I open the battlement door to take the dog out for a walk, and we walk down to the lock. He's not on a lead because everything before me belongs to me. And I stand by the side, in fact I sit by the side of the lock with the dog, visualising what I'm going to paint for the day. And I glance back and I see my Scottish castle framed by the beautiful Scottish landscape and war-torn, all the history in its walls. And that's where I want to be holding my retreats and bringing people to feel like that. Some people want to live in the sun. Not me. I want to live in my Scottish castle. So I'm going to say goodbye for the day because I've got to wait for that white paint to dry now. So there you go. That's changed that painting somewhat, hasn't it? Closing the door and having the bravery and the courage to listen to somebody and to say, that's what I'm going to do today. Don't be frightened of doing anything. Yeah, whatever it is that's with you that you want to do, take the step and do it now. Doesn't matter. Thank you, Samantha. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter what changes you've got to make. doesn't matter how scary it seems to make a massive change to something that means something to you, sometimes it works out for the best. Let's see how that's going to look tomorrow, eh? I'll pop back on tomorrow and you can get an update. Lovely to have some of you on. I will see you tomorrow. I'm going back to wash my brushes. Bye for now.